time with the defensive play. Now finds Jalen Green.
Oh, my goodness!
He did it!
Oh!
Jazz, the Jazz turn it. Oh! Cam Whitmore. Şengün goes coast to coast. Oh! Here's Williams. Here comes both teams. Here comes Rocket Security. And we got a score.
Brew, your reaction.
Look, Kevin Durant is, we all know, all-time great, top 20-ish type player of all time. Legend. But at this point, at soon to be 37 years old, don't be fooled by the numbers. He is not impacting games anywhere remotely like he used to. For Kevin Durant not to make the play-in with Devin Booker, and some of this is on Booker too, but smack dab in the middle of his prime, averaging 26 and 7. Bradley Beal plays 53 games, gives you 17 points a night. Decent role players. Tyus Jones was effective in Memphis. You know, Royce O'Neal has been effective in places. Like, obviously the roster construction is kind of bad, but still, you couldn't even get your team into the play-in. And then 2 years ago, they got swept unceremoniously by a young, immature Minnesota team. So the notion that Kevin Durant is what he was years ago and going to come in there and lead your team to a championship is just not the case. And so
Chris Broussard made some very interesting points there. I'm going to disagree with a lot of what he's saying because a lot of what Chris Broussard's saying, and I believe what his take and his opinion is formulated around, is a very, very old school way of thinking. I truly, truly believe that. I think that the way that he thinks about basketball is a way that basketball isn't played anymore. It's not like, even if you want to go back and you want to look at the Miami Heat with Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron, as great as those three players were individually and how much better they made the Miami Heat, they still had Mike Miller, Shane Battier, Ray Allen, Mario Chalmers, Joel Anthony, Chris Anderson, Rashard Lewis. Like, they had complementary pieces around those guys to make it all work and come together. Norris Cole was another guy. Like, Miami had other guys that could play off of LeBron, that could play off of Dwayne Wade, that can even play off of Chris Bosh and kind of mask their weaknesses, because at the end of the day, basketball is a team sport. Basketball is the only team sport in America and maybe in the world in which a player, an individual player, or maybe even two individuals, depending on the team, have so much pressure and individuality placed upon them to win and to lose games that it doesn't make sense. Sometimes we see things and we don't look at the totality of it. If you got the top two guys in a series or in a game, but the other team has 10 to 11 guys that can match the productivity of the two best players and then easily wipe the floor with the other role players surrounding them, it's going to be difficult to win. It's going to be difficult to win. And I think that Chris Broussard, and just the way that he looks at basketball from an older perspective, I think that it's long going. Because in my opinion, there's nothing about Kevin Durant's game that is empty calories. It's only empty calories if he's on a team like the Nets, if he's on a team like the Phoenix Suns that have all of these guys that are like, have the same type of skill set and nobody else does anything else to cover up the holes. They all just got a bag and they all just got elite skill and they all just got great one-on-one play. Basketball is deeper than that, and a lot of people got to start to understand that as we move forward with basketball. Like, look at the Indiana Pacers. Perfect example.
A great bucket, but the numbers are somewhat empty calories at this point.
But do you think they would be empty calories in a different situation?
He's not. If he's your number one guy,
but he's none of
then
these
no,
teams.
I think they're not going to be.
But so I don't.
And that's a great point by Nick Wright that he brought up. Like, it's not even really about being the number one option or not. It's about a lot. And I was going to make a video about this yesterday, but then I just decided not to because I felt like it was too much Kevin Durant news until I saw this. A lot of people have this misconception, if that's Spurs fans, if that's Rockets fans, or whoever. They have this misconception that, oh, if Kevin Durant comes here, it's just going to be like what happened in Phoenix. And that's not the case, because if Kevin Durant comes to a Houston, I'm going to focus on the Rockets for the sake of this episode. If Kevin Durant comes to the Houston Rockets, foundationally, the Rockets still have great pieces. Even if that includes giving up a Jabari Smith Jr. For example, if you include, we all know that they're not trying to involve Jabari Smith Jr. in a trade, but Phoenix wants Jabari Smith Jr. But if you include Jabari Smith and Jalen Green in that trade for Kevin Durant, and maybe pick number 10 for Kevin Durant, if you include that, you still have a foundational core of Amen Thompson, Reed Shepherd, Cam Whitmore, Tari Eason, and Alperen Sengun. That's 5 of the core 7 players that you've drafted over the past 4 seasons. That's 5 of the 7. You're not going to be able to keep all 7 anyway. So if you could cash those 2 players in to bring in a Kevin Durant, as long as you still have your solid foundation, a team that can rebound, a team that can defend, a team that has good point guard play, a team that only needs this one thing that Kevin Durant is elite at to take them to the next level, why wouldn't you pull the trigger on that deal? Now, if you got to trade 3 or 4 players of the foundation to get Kevin Durant, and now after you make that trade you will no longer be whole, then yes, I could completely understand not wanting to trade for Kevin Durant. But that's not the case with the Houston Rockets.
I think any of these teams that are trying to trade for him want him to be the number 1 guy. Houston, it's
but
weird.
He used to be a clear number 1. So I'm just saying, there's like, look, his main bread and butter is the mid-range. If your bread and butter is the mid-range in today's NBA, you can get buckets. Yeah. Period. You can get buckets. And so I'm not saying he's 37. He's not supposed to be a super duper star anymore. Okay? LeBron's an outlier. But he's still a very good player. He's still a legit star. In the right situation, I'd love to have him. I've been saying Minnesota. I'm just saying the Suns are going to be surprised because they're not going to get this huge haul because everybody's after Kevin Durant.
So that last part I agree with you on, and we might actually agree in spirit at least. I am going to put up his numbers as a Sun. Just
they're the same as his numbers throughout his career.
And I agree. So his numbers as a Sun, the one that jumped out to me is like, man, 43% from 3 is pretty nuts.
Look at these numbers. 27 points per game, 6 rebounds, I'm going to round up, 5 assists, 53% from the field, 43% from 3. This is what the Houston Rockets are missing. And people don't want to trade Jalen Green and Jabari Smith Jr. for this guy who says that he wants to extend with the Houston Rockets. He will extend a contract. There's this idea, and I'm done with first things first. There's this idea within the community that, oh, the window is only going to be 2 to 3 years. I have no idea where this is coming from. If you are a player that's putting up these numbers, you do not fall off a cliff unless you have a significant injury overnight, over an off season. There is nothing that Kevin Durant has shown us to think that he cannot still produce like this at a high level, especially with the Rockets, who can manage his injuries, who can make sure they can low manage him, make sure his minutes stay low, make sure he doesn't play back-to-backs or in as many back-to-backs, make sure that he doesn't overextend himself, make sure that he hasn't had to put pressure on himself to come back early from injuries, because what this Houston Rockets team proved last year is that they can win in the West without Kevin Durant. This team was the 2nd seed this season without Kevin Durant, with one of the worst half-court offenses in the history of the game. Like, one of the worst half-court offenses. We were so bad offensively, we had to depend on Steven Adams' offensive rebounding percentage and that gimmick style just to create extra possessions for us to put up a respectable offense overall. But in the half-court, we were still bottom half of the league. And you're saying that, oh, well, if we get Kevin Durant, like, yeah, it fixes that problem, but we have a 2 to 3 year window. I have no idea where that thought is coming from. Amen Thompson is 22. Not Jabari, he wouldn't be here in this situation, but Sengun is 23. Reed Shepherd will be 21 or 22. Cam Whitmore will be 22. Tari Eason will be 24. You'll still have your young pieces here that you can still build around, that you can still develop, that you can still prioritize. Again, you are not crippling the foundation to get Kevin Durant. And this idea, again, that he is going to fall off of a cliff, I have no idea where it's coming from. This idea that we only have a 2 to 3 year window with this guy, I have no idea where it's coming from. As Amen gets better, as Reed gets better, as Sengun gets better, as Tari gets better, as Cam gets better, as those guys get better, it will put less and less pressure on Kevin Durant, which will hopefully extend his career. I mean, look at what he's doing now on a team where it was an immense amount of pressure on him on a night-to-night basis to defend, to rebound, to facilitate, to score. And he still put up these types of numbers. I think that these numbers might be equivalent to Jalen and Jabari combined without the efficiency. So I just don't really understand this notion that, like, the Houston Rockets fans should not want Kevin Durant or giving up Jalen and Jabari is too much, because I truthfully do not believe it's too much. Jalen and Jabari, out of the core 7 that get rotational minutes, so I would say the core 4, have shown the least amount of potential. Amen Thompson, his second season, made an all-defensive team and finished top 5 or third in DPOY finalists, as a DPOY finalist, or top 5 at worst. And he made first team All-NBA defense. Alperen Sengun was an all-star. Jalen Green has shown the least amount of potential in the top 5 picks in his draft class outside of Josh Giddey. Alperen Sengun, who was in the same draft as Jalen, outside of the lottery, has shown more in less time. So I don't understand why Rockets are holding on to these guys for dear life, as if these guys have shown, as if Jalen Green has shown Devin Booker-esque flashes. He has not. And as if Jabari Smith Jr. has shown Kevin Garnett-esque flashes. He hasn't. If you can get Kevin Durant, pull the trigger. That's all I got. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Comment below. Let me know what I missed. Let me know what I didn't miss. Let me know what you agree with. Let me know what you didn't agree with. As always, guys, thank you for watching once again. RedNationBlogga, out.